digestive system and polycystokin, which is condamic health. It is made of two main sections. The first one part is called the alimentary tube. It is just like a tube, يعني شوي بوريته وباش يدوها which is called the accessory organs of the digestive system. يعني أو باشكو organa اللي يتنداون اللي يصير ثلاثة digestive system هو role here in the process of digestion and digestion of the food. Okay, so the alimentary tube, it is a tubular structure, extended from where it started from the oral cavity, as you see here, started from the mouth or the oral cavity, and end up with the anus. And you see the speaker, the demo the speaker, or quote, you feel there, come there, but you far away, the IT. So it is made of the oral cavity, pharynx, esophagus. What we have here is the stomach, then small intestine. It is the longest part of the digestive system. It is made of different sections, duodenum and ileum. Then what we have a large intestine. This section is all recognized as the large intestine, and the rectum and anus. So the accessory organs of the digestive system includes the teeth. Teeth is regarded as an accessory organ. Then what we have a tongue within the oral cavity. As you know, we can use this structure to make it and to move the food particles within the oral cavity. Then we have a salivary gland, which we will explain this later. This is liver, you know this. And this structure also is called the, this one is the gallbladder, also is a part of the connected as considered as an accessory organ of the digestive system. Then what we have here is the pancreas. Pancreas also, it has a role in the process of digestion. In general, what we have two types of digestion within the gastrointestinal tract. The first one is recognized as like a, what's called by mechanical digestion, and the second one is called the chemical digestion. The mechanical digestion is the physical breaking up of a food particles into a smaller pieces, such as chewing of food within the oral cavity. As you know, it leads to what we call the breaking down of like coarse particles into finer or smaller particles. Also, we can see the same mechanism within the stomach. As you know, we will explain this later. The stomach wall is made of like a powerful muscle, and they can crush the food particles against the stomach wall, and so it helps the process of mechanical digestion of the food. يعني كيف كان بشوي ميكانيكية party كان كابو تي إخوانا كابو مشكلة بتشوف. While chemical digestion is mainly is a function of what of the gastrointestinal tract or enzymes. Okay, let's say gastrointestinal tract enzymes. During this process, like large molecules such as polypeptides, proteins, carbohydrates, can be breaking down or chop it out into like simpler subunits or molecules such as amino acids and monosaccharides and so on. So these two processes are the most common what is the oral cavity? The process, as we mentioned earlier, the process of digestion starts somewhere from the oral cavity. So within the oral cavity, the food can be broken down mechanically into what into a smaller pieces, and it can be mixed with what with the saliva. With the saliva, so it's soluble the food to be follow it, or let me say the food forward or the follow. So what is the saliva? Saliva is a watery secretion which is important to dissolve food for taste. يعني في أكاد بعدين أحيانا تكافئ في آية وفي أكاد وأكاد تفوت بسنة وصل أمور يعني فعشان في taste and elaborate food for pollen. في أكاد ودائرة وأكاد تبع ثاني في taste بعدين food following food. Saliva is secreted by three pairs of salivary glands. They are located throughout the boundaries of the oral cavity. The first pair is called the parotid gland. This is this one. This one is the parotid gland. Then what we have submandibular, so located below the mandibular bone. This is submandibular gland, and we have another one which is called sublingual. Lingual, which means it's located beneath the tongue. So this here is the mind. So normally the saliva has the same osmolarity as the plasma. As you know, plasma is an isotonic solution. Then what we have, this is the site or the structure where the saliva can be produced. We have a thinner cell around this okay. So and then when the saliva is passing through the ductal cells, the sodium and chloride can be absorbed into the circulatory system, while potassium and bicarbonate can be secreted into the saliva. So at the end of the day, the saliva became a hypertonic solution, and the texture of the saliva can be affected by some factors such as the nervous system. In the case of fear, anxiety, the saliva became thicker in compared to what a normal physiological process. Then, in general, saliva has some functions. The first one is the process of digestion, because as you know, the process of digestion can initiate within the oral cavity, as we have two enzymes which are secreted by the salivary glands, including the alpha amylase and lingual lipase. So amylase is responsible for the conversion of fat into glucose and maltose. But because the food is not retained for a longer period within the oral cavity, this process is not a complex process. So it has a minor role in the process of digestion. Also, what we have a lipase. Lipase means to involve it with the process of liquid digestion. The second function of the saliva is the lubrication of ingested food by mucus. So it can help the process of salt. Okay, so it prevents the irritation of parts of the esophagus. Otherwise, if without saliva, the food particles might irritate and injure the esophagus. The third function of the saliva is the protection of the mouth and esophagus by dilution and buffering of the ingested food. Another organ within the GIT tract is the stomach. I'm not going through the function of the esophagus, or the other thing to explain the esophagus, because esophagus is a tubular structure. It is responsible for the transportation of the food from the oral cavity to the stomach. This part is the part of the esophagus, which is extended from the oral cavity to the stomach. So, stomach is a sac-like organ that extended from the esophagus to the small intestine, here, from here to the, so from esophagus to the small intestine. That's as a reservoir for food and mucophagic food ensure both mechanical and chemical digestion. So, both the mechanical and chemical digestion still can be seen within the stomach because the wall of the stomach is made of a powerful muscle. They are arranged in a circular, longitudinal and oblique direction. So it's usually just the way down, just the way there is way the stomach and the way large الأكلة والجوار السمكة هل وطاعة تكتب السمك بعد ثاني وهم على السكن فيها contract and during the contraction of the muscle they can crush the food particles against the epithelial lining or part of the epithelial lining or part of the stomach, and this process leads to what we call mechanical breaking down of the food particle into thick liquid material, which is called cam. Okay, it's called cam. So, as we mentioned before, the physical digestion is a result of a gastric juice, which is specified by gastric juice. So, what is the gastric? So, what is the gastric juice? They are glands of the stomach and consist of several types of cells. Their collective excretion, we have different types of cells. Their collective excretion are called gastric juice. طبعا أمثلة أنا بس ناقصان السماك دورين واللي هنكسن هو ممكن تايتل سيل زورجو واللي هنكسن ممكن سيل زورجو إذا بجري سنقول أنا سماك بس من أبي سلاسل سماك. So the gastric juice consists of different types of cells. The population of those cells might be changed according to the regions of the stomach. Okay, so we mentioned this. So the first group of the gastric cells is called the mucus cells. They are responsible for the secretion of mucus. It coats the stomach lining stomach and prevents erosion by gastric juice. يعني coating our process the أفراد ونعالج بأسامي في تأخذ عن the whole gastric juice. But you know the pH of gastric juice is too low in compared to the other parts of the digestive system. So the second type of gastric cells is called the parietal cell. The parietal cell is responsible for the secretion of three main types of agents or chemicals. The first one is called the hydrochloric acid, HCl. The second one is the gastroserine, and the third one is the intrinsic factor. So what is the function of HCl? HCl can convert peptinogen, which is secreted by the Kis cells, we will explain it later, into pepsin. So peptinogen is inactive form of the enzyme. In the acidic medium, it can be converted to pepsin, and pepsin is involved with the digestion of proteins into let us say polypeptides. Then what we have, the other function of the HCl is because of like a low pH or high acidity, it can kill any organism that can enter into the stomach through the drinking water or through the food. So it can act as a line of immune system or defend defense mechanism against microbial infection. So the other agent is secreted by the phytophthalates called the intrinsic factor. Intrinsic factor is it prevents the digestion of what? Well, let us say it is involved with the vitamin B12 absorption, and it prevents the digestion of the vitamin B12. يعني في أكل من regree لا حجبوني vitamin B12 بدل ناف stomach, and promote this absorption by the small intestine. It means it promotes the vitamin B12 absorption by the small intestine. يعني كيالمتي هم نايرد كشي vitamin B12 ناف stomach شي بيتوا بدأ كيالمتي absorption في ذلك كله small intestine. أو كسالي كبون كشيء كان stomach كان هي بون سجيان كيا تقاسي جاكاس كان تجوا نقدر كشان دوس بيل فيلا vitamin B12 deficiency بهوي stomach ناقص نتيجة بواسطة intrinsic factor دوس كاتيان vitamin B ومش this is what due to the vitamin B12 deficiency. I think we already mentioned the function of vitamin B12. It is mainly related to the hematopoiesis. So the second molecule, which is created by the phytophthalates, is the gastroserine. Gastroserine binds to iron and enhance its absorption. يعني كيكاد gastroserine لناف سمكة باندي لقال أحسنك وكيكاد ويالمتي كيكاد يالمتي absorption يكاد. Again, for instance, any person who has difficulty in your stomach or it might have like gastric bypass or gastric cancer, whatever like a condition might suffering so much from the iron deficiency as a result of the blood. So the third type of the cells of the gastric tissues is called the T cells. T cells are responsible for the secretion of the trypsinogen that we mentioned here. Trypsinogen is the precursor of the trypsin. So it can be activated in the presence of the FCL, or within the acidic medium. The trypsinogen can be activated into the trypsin, and trypsin is responsible for the digestion of protein within the stomach. So the fourth type of the cells of the gastric is called G cells. The G cells are responsible for the secretion of a hormone, which is called gastrin. The gastrin secretion by the G cells can be regulated by the presence or absence of food within the stomach. When there is a food within the stomach, so the G cells can be stimulated to secrete what gastrin. Gastrin can stimulate the secretion of a greater amount of gastric juice, especially by the parietal cells. As we know, the parietal cells is a type of gastric cells. It is responsible for the secretion of three main types of chemical agents of molecules. Let's be illustrated here. What we have a G cells when there is availability of food or presence of food in the stomach. It induces the G cells to secrete what gastrin, and gastrin induces the secretion of gastric juice. This is especially by the parietal cells. So this is an important note about the stomach, or about the secretion of the stomach, especially by the parietal cells. What we have histamine, which is released from the enterochromatin-like cell in the gastric mucosa. So when there is an increased level or secretion of histamine, so it induces the parietal cells to produce or to secrete hydrogen ions into the stomach and stomach. So the histamine binds to the F2 receptors, which are located on the parietal cellus, and it can activate the parietal cellus to squeeze what? To squeeze several amount of hydrogen out. So it means it reduces the pH of the stomach. As you know, when there is an increase in the level of hydrogen ions, it means what? It means an increase in the acidity or a reduction in the pH. So هلا بلوي هنا كسيك ورمنا فتح فريان هي لا صحينا إيدياني كان بوني كيس إرتو رسالة بلوك كيان بوني كيس كسيك هاد بايندين يسالة الأمر السكرة ونالت إنجيسي فايتة السلطة بوي سكرة بوي كميتي regulation of gastric juice excretion. The gastric excretion is regulated by three main mechanisms. But let us say the overall, the gastrointestinal excretion can be regulated by these factors or these stimuli. The first one is called the cephalic phase. What do you mean by cephalic phase? Is such as anticipation of food, or when you are thinking about a specific type of a food, or when you have been told you have a specific type of food. When you are thinking about this type of the food, you directly your stomach starts excreting of what? Of gastric juice. So the second stimulatory or regulatory factor is called the gastric phase. The gastric phase can be seen or can be induced when the food is reaching, or when the food reaches the stomach. And it's actually specific coordinate efforts for a gastrointestinal stomach. Check out the gastric phase, and the half of the coordinate stomach there. Just a kind of effect to the أو gastric. دواء factory فيها the COGT, which is called the intake phase. It started after reaching the chyme to the intestine. As you know, we said as a result of the mechanical and chemical digestion of the food within the stomach, the food particles can be converted into a thick liquid form, which is called chyme. So when this like a thick liquid reaches to the intestine, the first phase of the gastric excretion starts, which is called the intake phase. So يعني هل حاول كان جاي وهي بالنص فاني كذا أنا intestine لو أكيد زورة فهو هني فاكتور وشيء كذا فintestine على كذا intestine فاكتور وأكن كستمر في كذا كمية كاين بو intestine كم كذا يعني أكيد في كذا دابة يعني So another section of the gastrointestinal tract is called the small intestine. As you know, small intestine is a site where the process of digestion can be completed, and the end products of digestion are absorbed into the blood and lymph. So يعني في كاسمونتيشن شنو process digestion كاتاو أجي وأو ما داني كاستوديان هذي وabsorption نمبر بكير بتوان هيد absorption بتي absorption أكيد ولا بجي blood lymph أجي وبكير بو كان له. But you know the small intestine is made of three main segments. The first one is called the duodenum, the first part of the small intestine. Then what we have this is the duodenum, the stomach. What we have then, directly we have duodenum. Then what we have duodenum. Okay, duodenum. This is duodenum. And then what we have ileum. The last part of small intestine is called ileum. What you said, within the small intestine, the process of digestion can be completed. So it is the completion of digestion. The process of digestion started within the oral cavity, as we mentioned here, and it can be completed within the intestine under the influence of digestive secretions that excrete into the small intestine from liver, pancreas and the small intestine. كمان هي بهوي processes digestion طاقة كامل أجي بهوي شو بهوي أو شو كانت كده ما intestine لايكو للاني ليفرو زجاج للاني pancreaso ولقال كيف كمان هي ولقال small intestine خو هنا في باش يقدر كمان we are going to explain each of the following stages. So within the in small intestine, the frequency of food in the duodenum stimulates what? Stimulates the intestinal glands, which are mainly called as crisis or thyroid to secrete what? To secrete some types of enzymes, secretion into the intestine. It is continuous for continuous digestive enzymes, including what? Peptidase, steroids, maltase, and lactase, and the other enzymes. And each of these enzymes has a specific function within the small intestine. Here is the lamina function directly here, the nuclear intestine. For instance, peptidase is responsible for the completion of the protein digestion by breaking down the short polypeptide changes into amino acids. Check out the ribosybo amino acids. Right, what's on here, bonus steroids, maltase, and lactase, respectively digested what we disaccharides. Steroids by what? By steroids, maltose by maltase, lactose by lactose by lactase to monosaccharides, and they can be ready for absorption. And the second organ which is involved in the process of digestion within the small intestine is the pancreas. As we know, pancreas is considered as an exocrine and endocrine gland. The exocrine gland of the pancreas is involved with the process of digestion within the small intestine, and it can excrete two types of secretion. It includes pancreatic enzymes. So we have pancreatic enzymes produced by the pancreas, and it can be secreted into the small intestine. And what we have bicarbonate juice also secreted by what? By the pancreas. The pancreatic enzymes, or the main types of the pancreatic enzymes, include the amylase. As you remember, we have another type of the amylase, which is secreted by what? By the salivary gland. So here we have another type of the amylase enzyme. Digest starts from mouthwash, as we saw it before. Then what we have lipase, converts emulsified fats to fatty acid and glycerol. Trypsin, an initiatide. Trypsin digests the polypeptides to shorter chain of amino acids. An initiatide polypeptide amount of triangle people, amino acid or chicken or absorption. The carbonate juice, the pancreas also produces bicarbonate juice, which is, if you remember when we spoke about the pancreas, it has two types of secretion, pancreatic enzymes and bicarbonate. So what is the function of bicarbonate juice, which is an alkaline secretion? So the bicarbonate juice has a 7.5, or the pH of the bicarbonate juice is about 7.5. That neutralizes the acidic pH of the gastric juice. As we remember, we said the gastric juice has an acidic pH, so it is about 1 to 2. So before, as we know, the small intestine cannot tolerate such a high acidic media. So before the acidic kind, before damaging the duodenal mucosa, it can be neutralized by what? By the bicarbonate juice. So the also it can provide an alkaline, or let us say we provide an optimal pH for the intestinal enzyme to apoptosis. As you know, the intestinal enzymes might not be activated in an acidic pH. So the third organ, which is involved in the process of the completion of the digestion of the small intestine is the liver. Liver has a contribution in the process of digestion through the reproduction and secretion of fat. The bile can be secreted by what? By the hepatocytes. يعني في لاني كان يجرو دروس secret can be secreted by the hepatocytes. And the bile is a dark green to yellowish brown fluid made of bile salts, phospholipids, cholesterol, and bile pigment. The bile pigment is mainly made of part of the bilirubin. So the formed bile can be stored within the gallbladder, and when there is a fatty food within the small intestine, it can directly be secreted into the small intestine to emulsify the food molecule. So bile salt, which is a component of a bile, are amphiphasic molecules because they have both hydrophilic and hydrophobic portions. يعني فيها amphiphasic يعني هم hydrophilic يعني حزيلة أو هم hydrophobic portion fatty hydrophobic. In aqueous solution, bile solids orient themselves around like a fat droplets and emulsify them to increase the surface area of the fat droplets to facilitate the chemical digestion. So as you know, the fat molecules, because of their hydrophobic properties, they cannot be dissolved within the water. But because of the bile solids, it can be converted, like large molecules can be converted into a smaller molecules, and when they form it, so they can directly, or the surface area of the molecules can be increased, and through this process, the process of digestion can be facilitated. So, as we see here, this is the gallbladder. The gallbladder is a sac-like structure that stores bile and releases it when fatty food enters the duodenum. I think we already mentioned it. So the liver can regulate the process or contribute in the process of digestion by the production and release of bile. So hormonal regulation of the intestinal secretion is, if you remember when you explained the nervous system of the GIT tract, what we said the GIT tract is function can be regulated through the nervous system and through the hormonal factors or hormonal, let us say, Sibatuma Hutosman Koandani has the Twandez Bahoy Koandani Damaru or Bahoy Hormono Dagbakhir, who Pashtivati Koandani Damar Mantikala Sigris. Now I am going to talk about a bit about the hormonal regulation of the intestinal secretion. One of the hormones which is secreted by the duodenal mucosa is called secretin. Secretin can be secreted by the duodenal mucosa when the chyme is entered into the small intestine. So when the chyme from the stomach entered into the duodenum, it can induce the duodenal cells to secrete what? To secrete secretin. Secretin stimulates an increase in the pancreatic juice secretion. If you remember, we said we have pancreatic enzymes, and we have then we have bicarbonate juice. Also, the bicarbonate juice from the pancreas can be also increased, and there is an increase in the bile production. So, the bile production by the hepatocytes can be induced by what? By the presence of the hormone secretin. The other type of the hormone, which is called polycystokin, it is also produced by duodenal mucosa when chyme enters the small intestine. So again, similar to that of the secretin, polycystokin can be secreted by the duodenal mucosa when chyme enters into the duodenum. So in turn, the cholecystokinin can increase the pancreatic enzyme secretion. Pancreatic enzyme secretion can be induced by what? By the cholecystokinin, and also cholecystokinin can enhance the contraction of the wall of the gallbladder and force the bile into the intestine. If you remember, we just said secretin induce the production of the bile by the hepatocytes, while cholecystokinin induce the contraction of the wall of the gallbladder, and it enhances the release of the bile into the duodenum. So, secretin involved with what? With the bile production, cholecystokinin, contraction of the gallbladder to release the bile into the small